Canelo is heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And I think he has heavier hands than Jaime Munguia. I think he's technically better. I think his IQ is much higher.
As Canelo Alvarez accepts a challenge to fight Jaime Munguia on May 4th, boxing pros have started to reveal their picks for the matchup. Jaime Munguia is keenly aware that the moment he's been waiting for has arrived, a chance to secure a significant bout that could define his career. In a display of sportsmanship, Jaime Munguia humbly called out for a showdown and pledged that facing Canelo would be nothing short of an honor. Munguia expressed his aspiration for the envisioned bout to unfold at the grand stage of the Azteca Stadium. However, he conceded that he holds no objections regarding the venue should the fight be officially confirmed. He said, "I would very much like it to be in Mexico City, in the Azteca Stadium. It would be something very important, but the truth is that wherever the scenario is, it will be a great fight against Canelo. He is dangerous because of his right hand. I've seen him punch with all his strength. You have to be very careful when you go in to hit him." While Munguia is preparing for the bout, it appears that there is a twist in the story. Shedding light on the intricate dynamics at play, Oscar de la Hoya, Munguia's promoter, provides insight into the unfolding saga. Commenting on how hard it is to get a fight against Canelo rolling, his former promoter, Golden Boy, noted to Ariel Helwani, "Canelo holds all the cards here. That is the problem. It's a big problem. Everybody wants him on their platform, whether it is DAZN or whether it is Amazon, which PBC has. Canelo's career trajectory has undergone significant reshaping since his victory over Jermall Charlo in the previous year, completing merely one of his contractual obligations under the PBC's 3-fight deal. He has now opted to part ways with them.
Again, I'm gonna say this again, that it's up to Canelo. He picks his opponents. And I think that if imagine Munguia knocking out John Ryder, who went the distance with Canelo. I mean, that's a pretty good statement there. So, yeah, within a small ring like this. Jesus. And look, I think it'll be a huge mega fight. I really do. I think that Canelo Munguia would be huge. But first thing is first. First Ryder, and then Canelo has to decide. He holds all the cards. And we respect that.
Speculation is rife that he's eyeing a collaboration with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, entities with whom he has enjoyed a fruitful association in the past. De La Hoya added, "Somehow I have to get to Canelo. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I am going to do it." The promoter also asserted that he does not see May 4th happening between his fighter and the Jalisco native, who held a stance to not fight any Mexican fighter on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. No chance, no, I don't think so, he revealed. De La Hoya's pessimism surrounding the upcoming showdown between the two fighters in May reflects a common concern plaguing many promotional companies. This apprehension has sparked speculation about Canelo's next move following his departure from the PBC.
Do you believe and think that Canelo might not choose Benavidez as one of his fights? Just kind of skip over that?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? I mean, one thing about Canelo is that, look, the history shows that, yeah, he's fighting the top guys. He's taking all the challenges. I might have criticized him a bit because I had a little thorn on my side, because he decided to work with another promoter. But I think being around him and promoting him, look, I admire him. I have to. There's no other way. If he picks Jaime Munguia, which I would advocate towards, because we haven't seen a Mexican fighter, a championship fight at the elite level since Barrera Morales, since Marquez, and
Magnifico.
Right. And those fights are fire. So I would love to see something like that again, but it all depends on Canelo.
Following the decline of Showtime Boxing, PBC forged an alliance with Amazon Prime to air its fights on a pay-per-view basis. Nonetheless, with such a significant upheaval, the company found itself unable to front the costs for a headline bout featuring Canelo against his eagerly awaited adversary, Jermall Charlo. Given Canelo's status as the top-earning boxer currently, any deal to enlist him would necessitate a corresponding return on investment. This implies that the astronomical figures must be recouped through pay-per-view sales. On the MMA Hour, De La Hoya observed, "He's just left PBC. I don't know if he's talking to someone now. I mean, who's going to pay him that huge guarantee, right? Because keep in mind, Canelo wants huge guarantees, and in order for somebody to give them that money, I mean, you have to generate over 1 million homes on pay-per-view, and that's never a guarantee, right? So it's risky." However, despite the absence of official confirmation from either camp, many speculate that Munguia could be Canelo's next formidable opponent, especially considering Canelo's shift away from the PBC and the thwarting of his match against the elder Charlo sibling. Such sentiments echo from the lips of Eddie Hearn, a competitor in the world of promotions. Hearn reveals he's engaged in initial discussions with Alvarez regarding a potential comeback to Matchroom Boxing. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, he clarified that their initial parting stemmed solely from Matchroom not having suitable opponents for Alvarez at that juncture. The only fight we had for him was Dmitry Bivol, which we couldn't make because Bivol had a fight to do, and then he was fighting Artur Beterbiev, so we couldn't get that fight made, Hearn explained. Hearn recounted the initial split between Matchroom and Alvarez, emphasizing that the separation was due to the lack of suitable opponents available for Alvarez at that time. He explained the complications in arranging a fight with Dmitry Bivol, which fell through due to scheduling conflicts and differences in weight class preferences. Hearn added, Bivol wanted to do it at 168, Canelo wanted it at the same terms, so he had no choice but to join the PBC because they gave him a good path. But the path eroded, the path that was mapped out never actually materialized. The promoter also discussed Alvarez's dissatisfaction with the PBC, particularly highlighting Alvarez's disappointment with Jermell Charlo's performance and the overall unfulfilled promises made by the PBC. Hearn criticized the PBC's reluctance to collaborate with other promotions, which he believes limits fighters' opportunities for significant bouts. Hearn said he was disappointed with the Jermell Charlo fight because Charlo ran for 12 rounds. He didn't even try to win the fight, and his brother might not even turn up. When I talked to Saul about David Benavidez, the fact that people think he won't fight him, he actually laughs. Moreover, Hearn is optimistic about Alvarez's potential matchups, mentioning names like Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, and David Benavidez. He expressed his willingness to negotiate with Benavidez for a future fight without demanding a long-term commitment to Matchroom or DAZN, showcasing his interest in facilitating major fights for the fans. According to Hearn, this guy has fought everybody. He'll fight Benavidez, and we'll do that deal. But he wants activity, he wants a plan. Benavidez ain't happening in May. During Hearn's tenure, Alvarez experienced a surge in activity, marking one of the busiest stretches in his career. The outspoken Brit made it abundantly clear why he believes the PBC business model is fundamentally flawed. Hearn said, because the PBC don't want to work with anyone, and now they're fucked. So you get to a situation where if I reached out to Benavidez, what the PBC do is go, we're only making that fight on the PBC. And this is what people don't understand. They're not willing to let their guys go on another platform to take a chance to achieve greatness. It all has to happen with them only. Hearn's insights extend beyond the immediate logistics of fight arrangements, touching on the broader implications for the sport of boxing.
But Jaime has one thing on his side, which is youth. Although he's 43-0, which is quite bizarre. Like, he's young and fresh, and he's been in a couple of wars, but Canelo is not young and fresh anymore.
He passionately argues for a shift in the boxing landscape where promotional entities work together for the betterment of the sport and its athletes. This collaborative approach, he believes, would lead to more significant fan-demanded fights and elevate the sport's overall appeal and marketability. Hearn expressed, if we do manage to do a deal with Canelo Alvarez, we can do Jaime Munguia, we can do Edgar Berlanga, or if Benavidez wants to come and fight. When PBC do a deal, they only let you go and fight one of their fighters if you align yourself to PBC. Moreover, Hearn's vision for Alvarez's future with Matchroom Boxing is not just about securing big-name fights, but also about maintaining a high level of activity for Alvarez. He underscores the importance of keeping elite fighters like Alvarez regularly engaged in the ring, which not only satisfies the fighter's desire to compete, but also keeps fans invested and excited about the sport. Hearn said, what I wouldn't do to Benavidez is say you can fight Canelo Alvarez, but you've got to sign a 5-fight with Matchroom or DAZN. I just want to see a great fight. Hearn also emphasizes the strategic aspect of choosing opponents and planning fight schedules. He mentions considering fighters who are not just big names, but are also in the right stage of their career to ensure competitive and marketable fights. This approach reflects a deeper understanding of the boxing business, where the timing of fights can significantly impact a fighter's career trajectory and the commercial success of events. Hearn stated, Canelo never got Benavidez offers for May, and all this big money that everyone's talking about. They said to him, you can fight Jermall Charlo. And by the way, the money we've promised you, we're not even promising you that anymore. He don't even want to fight Charlo, so he's got to look at other options. He's got to look at young fighters who are ready. The Matchroom promoter's comments reveal his ambition not only to reclaim Alvarez for his stable, but to change the narrative around boxing promotions. By advocating for a more open and cooperative promotional landscape, Hearn positions himself as a forward-thinking leader in the industry, looking to break down barriers that have historically hindered the sport's growth. According to Hearn, if Benavidez wants to come and talk to us and make that fight, we can talk to him and make that fight no problem. But if Alvarez is leaving leaving the PBC because they haven't delivered on what was planned, you can't just expect him to hang around and wait on them. The underlying theme of Hearn's commentary is a desire for more openness and collaboration within the boxing industry, allowing fighters to engage in the most compelling and competitive matches. As talks with Alvarez continue, the boxing community eagerly awaits the outcome of these negotiations and the potential high-profile fights that may emerge. Hearn said, "So, Munguia, I think, is the fight for May. Listen, if Berlanga happens in September, great, maybe he gets another big win in the meantime. If Benavidez wants to fight in September, Saul will fight all of them. He just wants to be active." Amidst swirling rumors about Canelo Alvarez potentially returning to Matchroom Boxing and DAZN, Hans Themistode posed an intriguing question to Hearn. Instead of David Benavidez or Jermall Charlo, could fans anticipate Alvarez facing off against either Edgar Berlanga or Jaime Munguia?
Or Benavidez. You said he was not scared to fight anyone in the previous interview. A lot of the rumors and talk on Twitter say that Canelo's scared, he's old, David is young and hungry.
Canelo Alvarez will fight anybody. You got to pay him.
Yeah.
If they come up with the money, he'll fight Benavidez.
He'll fight Benavidez. Just
Andy, one last question.
Eddie Hearn minced no words. "Let me tell you something about Canelo Alvarez, the most fearless fighter I've ever met. Trust me when I say Canelo Alvarez will fight anybody, right? He will fight Benavidez. He will fight Charlo. He will fight Munguia. He will fight Berlanga." Eddie Hearn reiterated the challenge of facing Terence Crawford and stressed Canelo Alvarez's desire to take on opponents of similar caliber, such as Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, and David Benavidez. Tim Bradley asserts that Jaime Munguia enjoys the adoration of boxing fans, a level of affection that Canelo Alvarez desires, especially following Munguia's 9th-round knockout victory over John Ryder on January 28th at the Footprint Center in Arizona.
Canelo, again, I'm going to tell you guys again, he's trying to maximize his money. He's trying to exit the game, still on top, and that's the reason why he won't fight against Benavidez. There's no point for him to fight against Benavidez in his eyes because he's felt that he's already done enough in the sport. 17 world championships. He feels that it won't even add to his legacy. So when you have a fighter like Canelo believing that, and you have fans like ourselves that says we want to see you fight against the belt, against the best, and you're holding down all these belts, it's in our eyes it's disrespectful. However, in his eyes, it's like I'm in control. I'm the cash cow. I can do what I want. All the sanctioning bodies are going to follow suit. And so, you know, Canelo Alvarez we could be seeing Canelo Alvarez in the near future, I'd say in May, against Berlanga.
The outcome of the Ryder versus Munguia bout was anticipated to determine the challenger for Canelo's titles. Bradley said, "He is the epitome of Mexican-style boxing. This dude is never in a dull fight, always entertaining." Bradley has exacerbated the situation by showering praise on the 27-year-old, who has amassed an impressive record of 43 consecutive wins, with 34 of them coming by knockout. He said, "I'll take some of yours. Let me see if you can take some of mine." That's his mindset. Munguia is everything Canelo wishes he was with the fans. Munguia took a significant stride toward arranging a bout with the renowned Canelo, who currently reigns as the undisputed champion in the super middleweight division. Following that, he seized the opportunity to challenge Canelo, but did so with respect, possibly being cautious not to provoke him excessively. Munguia said, "It will be a great fight among Mexicans, and if Canelo gives us a chance, it will be an honor to be in the same ring as him." Coach Jose Benavidez, father and trainer of WBC interim super middleweight title holder David Benavidez, expressed dismay today upon discovering Canelo Alvarez's intention to face Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga in upcoming bouts. He said, 2 years, we've been mandatory. We've been wanting to fight Canelo for a long time. Canelo is the king of 168. He's the face of boxing, and we want to fight nothing but the best." Jose Jr. abandoned his facade of civility displayed during a recent interview and openly criticized boxing icon Canelo, known as the face of boxing, for avoiding a match against his son, David Benavidez. He added, "We did everything we could to make that fight. First, he said he wouldn't fight any Mexicans. Then he said that he didn't want to fight David. So, we got to move on. I'm super happy with what we've achieved and how far David has come." Jose Sr. returned to his classic form, setting aside his recent praise for Canelo to poke fun at the Mexican star's preference for Munguia and Berlanga over David.
No, it's not frustrating. This is what happens here in boxing. When you have a dangerous fighter, everybody tries to run away from him. When you have a Munguia, everybody wants to jump in there.
It was amusing to hear Jose Sr.'s playful grumbling once again. He expressed, "It makes me very happy for Canelo and his team that he doesn't want to fight David because we must be doing something right. The most exciting fighter, the most feared fighter, doesn't want to fight David Benavidez. Man, that makes me super happy." It wasn't particularly wise of Jose Sr. to criticize Canelo, especially considering there's still a possibility that Benavidez could be given an opportunity fight in 2025 if the Saudi organizers are interested in the matchup. He said, "Everybody knows that Canelo is at the end of his career. He's not the same Canelo. He's worn out his body with all the hard training he's done. He knows that David can beat him, and he doesn't want to lose to David." Surprisingly, Jose Sr. is portraying Canelo's choice to refrain from fighting Benavidez as stemming from fear rather than a more pragmatic concern, such as the lack of financial viability for the bout. Jose Sr. stated, "He knows that David is a young fighter, not an easy fighter, and a hungry fighter. That's why he's making all these excuses of not fighting David." Jose Benavidez Sr. divulged the intricacies of a negotiation that initially held the promise of an exhilarating matchup, only to conclude in an abrupt silence. "Like about a week and a half, we started negotiations with Jaime Munguia, and they said that they want a 50-50. We said, yes, let's make it happen," he shared. However, the story swiftly changed direction when the possibility of a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez was presented to them. They said that the camp for Canelo Alvarez wanted to take that fight, but the only way that they would take the fight is that we will take the minimum, Benavidez Sr. revealed. Demonstrating a fighter's heart and an eagerness for the challenge, he agreed to the terms without a second thought. He said, "I said, sure, no problem. We just want the opportunity to fight. Let's make it happen. Either way, I know if we get to this fight, things are going to get better anyways." Yet, after their agreement to take the minimum, an eerie silence followed. "So we said yes to it, and then both of them disappeared. Munguia and Canelo disappeared," he recounted. Even in the face of negotiations breaking down unexpectedly, David Benavidez remains undeterred, strategizing his move into the light heavyweight division. However, what was the lowest offer David received? Benavidez Sr. suggested, "So I think they just wanted to test us, and they thought I was going to ask for more money, and they could have said that they did offer us, and we wanted more money, but we were willing to take the minimum." On the other hand, Terence Crawford has voiced his ambition to establish a lasting legacy. One aspect of this ambition involves confronting and triumphing over the undisputed 168-pound champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez, in what could be an extraordinary showdown. However, due to commercial obligations and Alvarez's personal interests, the bout didn't come to fruition in September. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is the biggest fight in boxing right now. Like it or not, it's just facts, Crawford wrote. Stephen A. Smith from ESPN expressed doubt regarding Crawford's claim, advising against getting carried away with false optimism. In the midst of these discussions, Oscar de la Hoya, the promoter, saw a chance to propose a fight between his client Munguia and Canelo. In a recent press briefing, de la Hoya emphasized that for Canelo to truly cement his status as the king of the super middleweights, he must defend his titles against the Tijuana-based contender from Mexico. Adding to the intrigue, Paulie Molina G airs his discontent with the situation. "Let's revisit the fact that Canelo doesn't want to fight a Mexican. I guess that's out the window. When it's the right Mexican, I guess he'll fight him," said Molina G. Exposing the double standard evident in Canelo's words and deeds, Molina G asserted that it merely solidifies the suspicions harbored by many regarding Canelo's reluctance to step into the ring against either Benavidez or Demetrius. "This kind of confirms the suspicions that everyone has had in that he doesn't want to fight the winner of this fight," said Molina G. He even asserted that boxers such as Canelo prioritize their own interests over the integrity of the sport of boxing. Now, setting that aside, when did Canelo express his reluctance to fight fellow Mexicans?
We made some points about this fight in the last couple of days. The fact that they're both Mexican fighters probably makes it a big fight, marketing-wise and selling and pay-per-view-wise. I mean, listen, Canelo sold 1 million pay-per-views fighting Chavez Jr., who sucks. So, I mean, I can imagine the Munguia fight, which is, he's an ex-world champion and he's competitive, and he's a good fighter. I would think that it would sell pay-per-view. So I think it's more of a marketing strategy. Go after Munguia, who's a marketable guy and still a guy who can fight, So I think the onus is on Canelo, though, because he's such a big name, to give boxing the fights it needs and it wants. And so we don't tend to see guys doing that, though, a lot of times. It's more so that they're out for themselves a lot of times when they're in this position, and I think that's what Canelo's doing as well.
When questioned about potentially facing Ramirez, Canelo disclosed his decision not to engage in a bout against another Mexican. "If it's Zurdo, I don't want to fight with Mexicans. I represent Mexico," Alvarez told USA Today Sports. What's more, Canelo went on to suggest that Zurdo had a great chance of winning against Bivol, and he would want him to win. "I think Zurdo has a chance to win against Bivol, and I want him to win," said Canelo. However, Zurdo lost the fight against Bivol on November 5th, 2022. Amidst swirling rumors of Canelo possibly facing Jaime Munguia, Paulie Molina G sheds light on the inconsistency in Canelo's assertion. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.